Ladies and gentlemen,
Good Son of a Bitch podcast.
But we're actually live right now. Big Ern in the house.
Yeah. What do you do with the cameras? Or
Camera's got you, and camera's got me and Kyle on one.
oh, okay.
Yep. And then once we get our permanent table in here, we'll readjust the cameras where they're at, and they won't have to be in front of us like this once we get that all set in there. But it'll all work out. Can you hear us okay?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, you sound good too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this week's guest, as you guys can see here, we've got Ernest Grant with us here. Ernest is a very interesting man. I started working with him many moons ago at Church Brothers in Castleton, and it was Caliber Collision at the time. But we want to let everyone know that Good Son of a Bitch is still on and still weekly putting out shows. We are on Spotify, we are on YouTube, and we are on Rumble. We have a Facebook page as well, and we have a hotline. 317-674-3216 is our hotline. But we're going to get into a good conversation with Ernie. Ernie's he's a good man. You guys are going to really enjoy learning about Ernie. But Indianapolis, that's where it all started.
Yeah.
1965. Man, oh man.
Well, some of you people might know me as Peacekeeper on the other channels.
Perfect.
Because I've been opened up on several channels, or helped people open up several channels and on Telegram, and got them started, podcasting and stuff. So
heck yeah,
it was a fun trip through COVID.
I tell you, what was life like in Indianapolis growing up? I know you were close with your family, grandparents, parents, all the above, sisters, and talk to us a little bit about what life was like growing up in the city.
Oh shit! It's a lot changed now than compared to what we grew up like.
Sure.
I mean, when you're in the 60s and 70s, I'm a 70s baby, so, grew up in the freedom of riding your bike all night, or, up until the street lights came on. Then your mom chased you down if you wasn't home by the time the street lights came on. So, but it was a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
Growing up, and you guys just hung out with your friends, and you didn't have to worry about the craziness that's going on in the streets today.
Yeah.
So it was enjoyable.
Heck yeah. Yeah. I know when we meet on Tuesday nights, grandparents played a big role in your life early on as a kid. And so we'll open up a little bit about that and some of your most memorable things that stick with you with your grandparents. And I know that, was it your great grandma that you were real fond of?
Yeah. Grew up in the Methodist belief, and she was the patriarch of the family, so she kept us all in line, especially with my dad being in the outlaws, the biker scene. So
yeah,
but he was more of a 50s type biker, the James Dean 50s, and then when it started getting crazy in the 60s, my mom straightened everything out and said it's either straighten up and fly right, or it's you're out the door. So
go hang out
hit the road.
Yeah. So my dad, we still associated with a lot of the Indianapolis groups, the Outlaws, the Sons, all that stuff. We did a lot of the because being in the paint business, we did a lot of bikes, and customized a lot of people's bikes and all that kind of stuff.
It opened up so many avenues. Custom paint, modifications, you name it. I'm sure you did it on motorcycle.
Oh yeah,
and still to this day.
But that's where my great grandmother came in play. She was a very God-fearing woman, so she kind of kept us, pulled us at the collar if we got too far out of line.
Sure,
She'd pull us back to the Jesus
Yeah.
and get us straightened out. And well, it kept us balanced. You know, it got a little wild, you know, as growing up, but having that solid foundation, Christian foundation, that
Yeah.
kept us in a good, solid place.
Yeah.
All my sisters and everything. I mean, we as children, you know, you get out of hand sometimes. But the always went to church on Sundays and straightened things out until the next Sunday.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, you got to work with your dad for many years and many aspects, and I know you guys did a lot together, body and paint and custom paint, and, which is really cool. So you spent a lot of time with him out in the garage. As you started entering into your early 20s, we'll talk about this, but you went out to Oklahoma to experience airplane school.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that time.
Well, after having my dad and I worked in the business, but we did just as much business in the evenings in the garage and stuff, and whether it be doing custom cars, you know, hot rods and motorcycles and everything else. We ended up starting a shop out in Avon, Indiana, which is just outside Indianapolis, and we had a shop out there for several years. And then my dad broke away and went off and went back to working in the industry, and I stayed. They kept the shop going for 3 years, and then by the time I was 24, I was like, man, I'm wanting to do something different. So I packed up, and me and she was a girlfriend at the time, but then became my wife. But we ended up packing up and moving out to Oklahoma and going to Spartan School of Aeronautics.
Man.
And then it ran off on another adventure.
What sticks with you the most, Ernie? I've never asked you in that Spartan School of Aeronautics. What did you learn most, would you say, in your time there?
Basically, when you're, I mean, you learn aviation, all that stuff, but you learn when you leave your hometown and what you know. It's one thing my grandfather told me a long time ago. He said, your circle of friends will get smaller and smaller.
Sure.
In other words, when you're in a location that guys you grew up with, went to high school with, and all those kind of things, that you get kind of stuck in a rut, and you become doing the same thing they're doing, and you know you don't go anywhere. And that expansion to go out and do aviation was I'd never lived anywhere else but Indianapolis. I was born and raised. So by the time I'm 24, I'm packing everything out on a wing and a prayer, and went out to Oklahoma and just ended up. The biggest thing I learned was expanding your horizons. Never get yourself stuck in a location, or because a lot of people, you start to talk to people. I lived in Oklahoma. I've lived in Florida. And for 10 years. I've lived in Oklahoma for 16 years. And you notice that the people that you start talking to have never gone anywhere.
Right.
They've never. They've never. It's like a shock to them when you say, "Man, you lived out in Oklahoma." It's like, yeah. Have you ever? No, I've lived in the same neighborhood my whole life.
Wow.
They've either lived in the same city or the same neighborhood. So the biggest thing I learned out there was expanding your horizons, and obviously being aviation, you're definitely going to expand your horizons, because I went to work, once I got done with aviation, I went to work for an aviation company, and we were doing aircraft inspections all over the country. So we would pack up, and Tulsa's like aviation is like a hub and spoke system. So that you got a home base in one location, but then you go out like spokes to go work in other places on aircraft and stuff like that. So they actually sent us out. One of the companies I worked for, sent us out all over the place, and it was expanding your horizons, so to speak.
Yeah.
You get to meet other people from different classes of people, different walks of life, and that's the biggest thing I learned. Aviation, how neat aviation is.
Sure.
I mean, other than the obviously the mechanical end of it, but I actually went out there, went to Spartan School of Aeronautics, but then I went to OSU and got my degree in aviation management.
Yeah.
So, I was actually going in for a professional pilot, and then ended up going transferring, because to be a pilot, you got to do a lot of extracurricular, because you can do the classes, but the flying's on your time.
Yeah.
And it gets expensive. So, I mean, thousands of dollars. So it's like in the middle of it, I was getting ready to graduate. I was getting too close to graduation and not had my flight time done. So I ended up having to jump into the management, and so I could actually graduate.
Wow.
So that's what it ended up getting a degree in aviation management.
Yeah.
So
in the meantime, your roots still stuck with you. You had your own body shop during that time, and
when I was in basically between 21 and 24, I basically had my own shop out in Avon, and then moved out to Oklahoma and went into aviation, started going through classes and through the Spartan School of Aeronautics. Because I took that trade with me, and all the instructors started having me work on their sisters' cars and their daughters' cars, and while I'm learning how to work on aircraft. And then when I went to college, same thing happened, because they seen the restoration and stuff that I've done, and you only got to mention to people that a few times that you work on cars or you custom paint or something like that, and they go, "Oh man, could you paint my car for me, or could you paint my bike?" And before you know it, it turns into a business, and that's what happened to me in Oklahoma.
Heck yeah.
I ended up opening up my own shop in Oklahoma, even though I had my aviation degree and everything. I ended up going right back in, and it was actually 9/11 that forced all the aircraft on the ground things. And at that point, it's like American Airlines is right there in Tulsa,
right?
And 3,400 people got pink slips overnight.
Wow.
Yeah, because everybody, if you research the 9/11,
yeah,
all the planes were on the ground for up to 6 months. So everybody in aviation were scattering, trying to figure out what they were going to do, because there was no work. All the aircraft were grounded. So until that got turned around, there was a lot of people scattering, going back into what they did prior, and that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah,
Getting out, because I was doing aircraft inspections and stuff like that, and then everything went grounded, and then we ended up. It's like, well, whatever trade you got to jump back into to make sure that you got paying the bills.
Yeah.
So I ended up going back into collision, and I actually started my own shop at that point, because all the guys that I knew in aviation also wanted me doing their old street rods, and before I knew it, I was doing everybody's cars instead of their airplanes.
Yeah. Sure. With that being said, too, you've been able to go a lot of places on a motorcycle.
Oh, yeah.
What would you say to date? I know there's a lot more places for you to go. What's been your favorite so far that you've been able to ride on that motorcycle and take in?
Sturgis, no doubt. Yeah.
Okay.
Sturgis, no doubt. But, there's I'd like to travel and do other rallies. That's one of my big things, has been the freedom of riding, and it's like flying. To me, it's riding is like flying in an open cockpit aircraft. You got the wind in your face, and it's just you in the road or you in the sky. So it feels a lot alike.
Sure.
So it's the Sturgis is probably the best. That's why it's so popular and been around since 1938.
Yeah.
39, I think. Yeah.
Long time.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
So.
Man. I take it you're going to go back out there again.
Oh, yeah. My next ride, the next one I want to go to is the original rally was Laconia.
Really?
New Hampshire.
Okay.
That came around before Sturgis.
Wow.
I think Laconia started in 27 or something like that.
Wow.
So it's the oldest one in the nation. So that's that's the one that you want to definitely go to is Laconia.
Man, well, one thing also, our audience, you mentioned it, Peacekeeper. You're into the truth movement, which I think is really really awesome because I myself dabble in it, not near to the degree you have, and but what got you interested in what kicked off your you said in the 1980s you started to look into a lot of things and started to dig and so what was it that kicked that off for you?
Well, a lot of it had to do with the love of guns and shooting and all that stuff. So I was going to gun shows and all that thing, and you get a lot of you call quote conspiracy theorists that share a lot of information inside that group of people, and I call them patriots. You know, guys that'll put their life on the line to expose what's been going on in this country. And so back in the 80s, there was a very few of us that, I mean, other than being in that type of group, you go into gun shows and stuff like that, but you start reading novels and conspiracy theorist books and stuff like that. And everything starts from something.
Right.
Even if it's, I always tell people, I said, you know, even a lie has to have a half truth to get you to pay attention, to get you to believe the lie.
Right.
There's got to be a percentage of truth in it.
Yeah.
So that's what, when you start reading those type of books and all that stuff, and you know, back in the late 80s, early 90s, I was listening to a lot of the you got what's that George Norrie.
Yeah,
things like that. You start listening to the. I mean, it's like it was almost like the reading the Inquirer, but even in that, you got certain truths in those stories. Now, whether you can prove them or get into proving them, you may never be able to, but eventually you'll start to come around and start realizing that there's something to this. It might be a little far-fetched. Some people embellish a story,
right?
But that story got started from somewhere. So that's what. But Bill Cooper was one of my biggest influences. Starting to read his stuff, and the book. If you read it, "Behold a Pale Horse," you'll start to. Bill Cooper had a Q clearance coming from the Navy, so. You knew he had access to the information, and he's not just the only one, but there's several of them, several other truthers that actually was trying to get information out, and it's like that's where the term conspiracy theory came from in the first place, was the CIA.
Yeah,
they're the ones that started it because it's put you off, to the term for it is discredit you.
Yeah.
So he's just a conspiracy theorist. He's not, that there's nothing to that.
Yeah.
Don't look here, look there.
Right.
And then it gets people to say, oh, that guy's a little off. Well, he might not be as off as you think he is.
Right.
So, but that's where a lot of the truth, a lot of my information was starting. Me and my buddy that I grew up with, me and him were, going to gun shows and, doing research. I mean, we call it research now. We were just digging, trying to, figure out where, truths came, where the lie and the truth merge. Just like with the Kennedy assassination.
Right. Do you think it was harder then than it is now with all the technology we have at our fingertips to figure stuff out, or you think it was easier back then?
Oh, no, it was harder, definitely.
Yeah.
Because you had to, I mean, it's like going to the library back in the day. Back when I was a kid, you had to pull the card and go search through racks and racks of books. And then pull the library number to pull the book and all that stuff. Now you got it at your fingertips.
Right.
Yeah.
You got it. People, kids today wouldn't imagine having to go in. One thing I learned when in college, when I was going to college, even then, you got because I was in the I actually went out to Oklahoma in the early '90s, so we still had to pull microfiche in the library. So you pulled the microfiche to read. I mean, it's on a big screen, and you got to read old articles, old magazine articles, and all that stuff. You see it now at your fingertips. You see all this stuff about the Nephilim giants and all those kind of things that we talk about all the time, and
the access to the video and stuff is amazing now.
Yeah.
Or you couldn't pull up a video like that and watch it repetitively to see if something's been doctored or altered or anything like you can now. It can be put on repeat, and you got different angles of it. And
well, all those pictures that you see, those old ancient pictures from the 1800s and all that stuff, those were all on microfiche that you had to go dig up, and most of them were buried inside the library somewhere, and you actually had to go into the talk to the librarian and say, hey, what is it? Where's this information? They say, well, that's down in the basement in a box. Then you had to go pull it out. Now everybody's got it at their fingertips because somebody like us actually got in there and found those old photographs and what was the Tartaria?
Yeah.
All those photographs were buried. And what we got now is, like you said, with the internet and what people didn't realize, what they started doing is when the internet started coming around, they actually started taking all those old files and stuff that didn't get destroyed in fires at government buildings and town halls and stuff like that. If it's stored underneath in a basement for the last 100 years, they're starting to pull it out and put it on the internet. So all this stuff, this information is what used to be there when they would say when the internet started in the early 90s.
Right.
They till today, that's 30 years already, 35 years.
Right.
So what they've done is over time, they were actually able to dig that stuff up out of those old archives and start loading it onto thumb drives and getting it so it doesn't get lost.
Right.
So and then it ends up on the internet, and then that's why what you were just talking about. The more information we're getting, we're getting flooded with information that it would take you years to dig up. Back in the 80s, I mean, now like I said, it's at your fingertips, and you can just, I mean, people are sharing stuff left and right, and if you follow the right people, that's why these podcasts have gone crazy, is because people are starved for the information that they couldn't get 30 years ago.
Yeah,
now it's everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we'll start right there with JFK and all of the actual footage you can now see. You're seeing a whole different story being presented now with the driver of the car, and
exactly.
Now you're figuring out that the mass-produced film that everyone had for 30, 40, 50 years was doctored.
Yep.
And altered to fit the narrative that there was a lone gunman up in the depository window,
well, it's just like the Gruder film. Everybody took the Gruder film as gospel. Well, who is Gruder? When you people start reading and digging into who he was, I mean, there's so many CIA plants and people that. His family might be saying that, no, he was a good guy, whatever. I'm not going to get into that.
Sure.
But I'm saying that if what you see, don't take it for face value, because we're inundated with information to the point to where people say, oh yeah, this guy's the one that was there, he filmed it, and then you start doing digs on that person,
right?
And you're going, holy crap, that guy was. It's just like the driver of the car.
Yeah.
He was CIA. So, I mean, all you got to do is swap the right guy out and put your guy in. And before you know it, you've got your man in place It's what was the film with Denzel Washington? It was actually a remake film.
So the one that it's not the Equalizer, is it?
No. This is the
Manchurian Candidate.
there you go.
Yeah,
Manchurian Candidate.
yeah.
I mean, that's what they've been doing for years, and the information just now coming out. You're starting to realize that a lot of these people were Manchurian candidates. I mean, just like the driver in the limousine. I mean, that's why Donald Trump has been keeps. It's like the old saying goes: "Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer."
Yeah.
And you got to make sure even when he ran in 2016, he actually took his own security team with him, and CIA said, "No, you can't, because you're going to run for office, and you want to get we want to get people around you that we trust and all that stuff." And he says, "The people I got around me, I trust. I don't trust anybody else." So he actually had them come in and start training to be CIA off. I mean, they had to go through the training,
Right.
even though they were his own personal security.
Yeah.
But it was the keep the people around you that you can trust,
Right.
because that way you can't get a Manchurian Candidate close. That's why, whether you like follow the Q movement or not.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, when you start getting into that and you start to understand that there's a lot of things that were put in place to make sure that he was protected. And that's one of the Q posts. It says, POTUS is completely insulated. And that's what you got to do in a world that we live in. You could be sitting right next door or right next to a maturing candidate and don't even know it.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter if you're on a plane heading to Florida for vacation. The guy beside you, you don't know who he is or
Right.
who sent him or who put him beside you.
Yeah, and I'm sure with Kyle's military background, they may have skimmed into scenarios like that where you got to be so aware of your surroundings and who's around you, and not knowing who's who at times.
I mean, it was when I was in the military. It was pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was never in that depth.
Okay.
In the military, it was, like I said, it was pretty cut and dry. Here's a gun. Here's the enemy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
Well, I mean, just like you guys
But,
over there in Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff, you have interpreters.
yeah, right. Yeah.
So, but you don't know who that interpreter is. Is he Taliban,
Right.
or is he somebody that loves freedom, and wants to get his family out of that situation,
Right.
or is he the Manchurian Candidate to get close to find information and figure out, because it's just like there's the information that's coming out now, and I suspect that a lot of people are going to be shocked of what's going to come out in the next few years. I always think about. I tell people online. I said, I would like to be alive in 50 years, 100 years, and see exactly. I mean, we know, when we look back now, we know what happened in the Civil War. We know what happened in World War I.
Right.
What happened with the Titanic. All this information
Right.
is starting to come out. Well, I can only imagine what information that isn't out right now that can't be divulged because the operation is in play, that what's going to come out in 50 years or 100 years from now, and you're going to go, holy crap. I mean, that would be
Unreal.
amazing to be alive in 100 years from now.
Yeah.
And look back and go, man, especially living in it. My grandmother, the one we started this conversation with,
Yeah.
she was born in 1887.
Wow.
And I used to sit and listen to her for hours, talk about the turn of the century and
Mhm.
all the way. I mean, she was alive when Titanic went down. She was reading all the papers and the articles like we're reading the articles and listening to the news now.
Right.
That's what she was doing growing up.
Man.
So, I mean, to hear it firsthand, I mean, growing up and sitting and listening to her for hours on end, talk about the the world's fairs and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that I love that's one reason I love history.
Right.
Because, and not only that, as history passes by, the more information comes out about what really happened.
Right.
You don't know, the first indication, everybody wants to get, be the first on the block to get the information out. Well, how much was it? 10% of it was, true.
Yeah.
And the rest of it was, fill in. But then you wait 20 years down the road and you'll find out that more information is added to it. The pieces of the puzzle are added to it. And you start, instead of getting 10% of it, you got 50% of it. And then, And the more time goes by, you'll start getting a full picture and the truth.
Yeah.
The so-called truth movement.
Yeah.
It gets you more and more people.
Yeah. Well, you had the JFK, and then shortly thereafter, you had the Apollo missions.
Oh, yeah.
I think for me, the Apollo missions were the first ones where I started to really dig, because there was too much there that just the math wasn't mathing.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you got people like Elon Musk saying, "Hey, here's the amount of fuels required to complete such a task," and then you find out the truth of the amount of fuel they had on those Saturn rockets, and it's like, a lot of people, and Ernie, you can jump in here on this. We want to introduce one word for people that are listening right now to research, and that's the firmament.
Yeah.
And I think, personally, and I'll get your thoughts too, if people start learning about the firmament, then they start looking at things a little differently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we go to Bible study on Tuesday nights. So, the more you learn, the more it's just like the Bible says, study to show thyself approved, which means to open up your mind and start studying and getting into the Word. And I always tell people, like all these channels that I've helped get rolling and, that I talk on and stuff. I said, if you just take the Bible as a history book, just like any other book, then you'll, when you read it, I mean, because a lot of people have an issue with the religious part of it, which, to me, the book isn't about religion. It's about relationship.
Right.
So when you start to open up your mind to those things that actually happen throughout the Bible and stuff, and you start reading, just like you said, into the firmament and all that stuff, there's, like you said, the math ain't mathin'.
Yeah.
Because when they start as the information starts getting divulged, you'll start to realize that, man, something ain't right here, because there's what the book says and what people were saying, what I always call them the cabal, or the deep state or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you control people's minds, is, get them away from the Word.
Right.
And if you can get them to believe the magic trick, then that the book, the Bible, has to be a fairy tale.
Yeah, like we're spinning at 666,000 miles per hour through a ever vastly growing universe, but yet the same stars are in the same spots day in, day out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For thousands of years.
Right.
And I mean, that impossible.
Right.
I mean, it's just when you start, that's a good place to start for a lot of people. If you start to get into that, then you'll start to open up your mind to realizing you've been lied to about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And throughout your whole lifetime, you've gotten you literally. I always tell people, from the day you're born, you're lied to till the day you die, and
stolen from.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Hollywood. I mean, when you start digging into where all this stuff comes from, I mean, all the way back into the Egyptian times and the deities and false gods and stuff that they created to get away from the the true God,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll start to realize, man, what else have I been lied to about? And,
Sure.
and then you go down the rabbit hole,
Yeah.
many rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that's why I said I'm 61 and I've got you got 40, 50 years of falling down in, because everybody, when you start to realize what they mean by a rabbit hole, falling into a rabbit has different compartments in its home. When if you went into a rabbit's lair, they literally have different rooms for different things. I mean, they literally, they're a lot like us as far as they got a food storage place, they've got a bathroom. I mean, that's how the rabbit hole goes, and how deep you want to go into the rabbit hole. These rooms open up to all different types of conspiracies that you'll start to realize. The further you go, the more you make connections between these other. It's just like how you brought up JFK.
Mm-hmm.
When you get into that rabbit hole, you'll start to realize all the things that connect to that rabbit hole that you thought, well, what did JFK's assassination have to do with von Braun of NASA? Well, you start making all the connections, and because they've been controlling the narrative,
Right.
our whole lives. It's we've basically literally been stuck in the matrix, and until you break through the matrix, then you just follow along and say, well, all these things are individual happenings when they're not. It's all connected because the people that have control of the board, they just put these things out, and I always say it's like pieces of a puzzle. I might have more of the pieces than you do,
Right.
But then when I start adding the pieces to your puzzle, then you start seeing a bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go, oh crap, I didn't realize that actually ended up having something to do with, it's just like when I mentioned Tartaria.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start, like I said, when you start digging deep into those rabbit holes, you start to realize that all these connections had to be, or you start to make these connections that you realize that they were covering up. Basically, it's just like a lie.
Mm-hmm.
When you tell a lie, you tell one lie, you got to tell 10 more to keep that one covered.
Right.
And then those 10 that you told to cover that one lie, you have to tell 10 lies on each one of those lies before you know it. It gets you don't know what the truth is and what the lie is.
Right.
And that's what they want you to do. They want you to be confused.
Yeah.
I mean, I always tell people it's game theory. If you ever studied game theory, everybody thinks when I say game theory, they think it's about video games and stuff. It's not. It's about mathematics.
Okay.
Game theory is mathematical, and if you start to dig into that stuff, you'll start to see the connections and it's kind of like doing a big math problem on a board. You start at one end and you're trying to get to the answer. Well, the game theory is it's almost like chess. When you start, there's certain moves have to be made, and if you make that move, it's going to affect several other things that it's going to. In other words, when you make one move on the chessboard, you've got to be 5 moves ahead of that move that your opponent made, and you've got to know every one of those moves and what he's going to do about it. It's like being five steps ahead. Even all those 5 steps to counter move your opponent, each one of those have consequences too.
Right.
So that's what I mean by that game theory. It's just like with all this stuff that's been going on with the people the Q movement and all that stuff started, and all this information started dumping out, and they don't know who to believe. They don't know if Donald Trump is the Antichrist, and
Right.
they don't know if
Right.
the podcaster that they listen to daily, if he's telling the truth, or if he's on the right path, or
Yeah, I mean, I've been there myself. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
You don't know what side of the fence some of these guys are when the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, they play the middle, and finally you start questioning, man, have I been listening to the truth or not? And man, it just gets so interesting. They just, in order to get to the truth, like you said, you've got to really just get down and dig.
Yeah.
You got to open your eyes.
Yeah, that
Oh,
too. Yeah. I mean, that.
well, not only do you got to also give yourself a break, because what you thought was, you're dead set on thinking that, well, I've got the answer. I've
Right.
dug up I've dug out the truth, and this is the truth. And then,
Right.
a few months down the road, you get more information. You go, whoa, wait, man, that changes my truth from 3 months ago.
Right.
Because
right.
I swore that this is what happened.
Sure.
I knew I was right on I was 100% right 3 months ago, and now I've added more information to my puzzle, and then I'm like, oh, okay, well, that changes the picture completely.
And you're seeing that a good, for instance, for that is the Charlie Kirk ordeal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's been so many, not only military background, but police and physicists and so many people. It all boils down to, the simplest thing to do with that, in my mind, is just simple logic.
Yeah.
You and I both know what a 30-06 round does to soft flesh,
Right.
and it ain't that.
Right.
And so when you had you had these guys that like these tactical groups on YouTube that they even recreated that shot from that distance, and it's like there is no way that Charlie Kirk was shot with a 30-06 in the throat, and that neck bone just deflected that round. It's not logical.
Yeah.
But you got a lot of channels coming under the gun for it. But then again, they're like, well, here's the receipts to back up. Just a visual. You seen it, I seen it. They recreated a gelatin head, and it blew that neck bone clear.
Yeah.
Well, being in the military, when you did being in having access to different weapons and shooting different weapons, I mean, the distance would be a problem, but it's just like a small round like a 22 would have done more damage than what they're saying, a 30-06 that takes down moose.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
Right.
We're not that bulletproof.
No.
The human body is not that bulletproof.
And to have one wound, not an entry and exit, both, but one wound, and it's, in my opinion, with all the information that I've gathered, that it's a bunch of theatrics. But there's, like you said, more information is coming out all the time.
Yep.
You even had one guy that was able to prove that the van to the right side of him opened up the hatch, and it had an actual gelatin block in it that round was fired into, and that the sound waves traveled at the exact speed to hit that gelatin block, and it did not match up to hit him with the speed of the velocity of the bullet and everything. But I don't know why so many people are hated for digging into. They want you to buy into whatever they tell you and shut up. Don't you question what we're telling you.
Yeah.
And that blows my mind, because we should be able to question everything.
Yeah.
What do they say? Television.
Yeah.
Television.
Yeah.
Tell a person a vision, and make them believe it.
It blows my mind on the Charlie Kirk thing. How not only how many times that was able to be live streamed on every device known to man. No time in present time have we been able to, as we've talked about it too, these social media companies, they edit that stuff and they hide it or they alter it or whatever. But for some reason, in his case, you was able for billions and almost trillions now of times to watch that. And
Yep.
that didn't make sense to me for starters.
Yeah.
It's like, so many people's been shot. We know more about Charlie Kirk's case than we do the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania on Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I don't want people to take it for gospel, but I've read every 4,963 Q posts.
Yeah.
And the more you dig into it, like I said on these other podcasts, like on Telegram and X and stuff like that, I get on these verbal shows, audio shows. I always tell people, I said, when everything with the Q post, they can't be that accurate and be a conspiracy,
right?
Because when, like I said, there are 4,963 posts. I've read every one of them. I've done deep research ever since they came out on the 4chan and 8chan. We've done groups of people just like us.
Mm-hmm.
Which is actually bigger. You might have 20 people or 200 people in the room,
right?
And you guys are all digging up for information, and everybody's dropping in their little pieces that they've dug up, and we're trying to get that picture together. And but my point is, throughout the Qs, they were talking about there's certain phrases. And one of the phrases that sticks to me, it's kind of like, it's nice to get in depth on every one of the, it's like what we do with Bible study.
Right.
We take a paragraph and we dig right through that paragraph, or, just like we were doing Tuesday.
With the concordance and everything.
Yeah. Well, we break down just like the minor prophets, what we've been doing.
Yeah.
When you break them down, when you take a paragraph and you break that paragraph down and try to come up and try to understand what God's word was and what he meant, and especially from then to now,
mm-hmm.
Man is still man. Well, you do the same thing with the Q posts, and you start to realize that all these smaller comments are good, and you can dig on each one of those. Each one of those is a rabbit hole. But there's certain phrases throughout the whole Q post that come up and mean it doesn't have to be a full paragraph or a full book. It could be just a phrase. Just like one of the phrases was, disinformation is necessary. Well, what does that mean? Break that down and understand, especially on a military tactical, when you have a plan that you're working through. You've got to put out disinformation, because and there's another one that says, don't look here, look there. Well, that was actually a John F. Kennedy Jr. Phrase. And like I said, we've done so much deep research on it, and he actually had on his camera, his strap on his camera, it said, don't look here, look there. Well, then it comes up in a Q post. Well, what's that mean? Well, that means that everything, when they tell you to look to the left, you need to look to the right, and you find out that they were giving you disinformation so you could go in the right direction. Yeah. It's kind of like and sometimes they need to go in the right the proper direction without being scrutinized. And just like in a military, you've got call signs and things like that you don't want your enemy to know.
Right.
You want them to be looking the wrong direction while you're going. Just like what they do in football. Sure. When they call out plays and stuff like that, you want your opponent to be going to the right when you're going to the left.
Yep.
Well, that's what that whole thing in the Q post was. disinformation is necessary. We would have never got to this place had we not, they really wanted you to have information, but they didn't want you to get in the way.
Right.
So, and because as civilians, we can't do anything anyway.
Right.
I mean, other than cause havoc.
Yeah.
And that's what,
they're trying to avoid.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
When the deep state wants to cause that havoc, where the guys in the operation don't want you in the streets when the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
So and they don't want you to be part of the shit hitting the fan. They don't want you causing the problem.
Right.
while they're trying to run an operation. So it's almost like child psychology. You tell your kid to go get a toy while you're trying to do something else in the house to keep them occupied for a few minutes while you're trying to put your gun away, because you don't want them to know where your gun is, and so you basically say, hey, well, go get your toy, and then while they run to get their toy, you're putting your gun away in the safe or whatever, so they don't see it.
Right.
So that's simple. That's making it simple, but that's exactly what's been. I believe that's been going on through this whole,
And this is not just a
three
couple,
terms of Donald Trump.
This ain't just a couple years. This ain't even just the 3 terms of Don, but this goes back, like you said, maybe even well before the JFK situation in the 60s, where a group of military generals got together and said, there's only one hope for the future of this country, and I think right now we're at that crossroads. There's so many things are going south quick, and there again, though, is that disinformation or?
Well, I'll tell you one thing: from all the information or all the digging and stuff, it goes well back into Abraham Lincoln. Okay. People don't even realize. I always tell people online, I said, start researching this, this, and this. Well, one of the things I tell them, I said, go back and figure out what happened with Lincoln. Then nothing's random. When Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, it wasn't because of slavery. It was because there's always been 2 colors on the board. There's the blacks and the whites.
Yeah. The
black hats and the white hats. Or the black chest side and the white chest side.
Right.
That's the people throughout history. It goes all the way back in the Bible. Mm-hmm. I mean, if Nebuchadnezzar and all that. I mean, it goes deep.
Yeah.
But there's always been the ones that are doing the wrong thing and the people that are trying to do the right thing, and you're going to have clashes throughout, and it has happened throughout history. It goes, even all the way back to our Revolutionary War. What we believe the Revolutionary War is not what it was. It was the people that have power and the people that want power, and it's a dichotomy of who's going to win and who's going to lose. Well, nobody really wins 100%. It's like a pendulum. It swings back and forth. Well, it goes, like I said, it goes all even back to Abraham Lincoln and all the way through. We've done research on the Abraham Lincoln, but you don't just pay attention to that. Pay attention to world affairs. I mean, you got the Romanovs over in Russia. This world didn't just circle around us. In the United States, there was a lot going on in other countries too. Russia, France, Europe, Spain. You start doing. When I talk about history, I'm not talking about U.S. history. I'm talking about world history. When you start seeing the pieces of that puzzle, you start realizing there's a lot of there's a big tug of war going on between the dark side and the light side, the yin and yang, and the getting back into the Abraham Lincoln all the way up to Kennedy.
Mhm.
When you said it goes back further, it goes back to the beginning of time.
Right.
It's like the Bible says, "There's nothing new under the sun." Man has still been man, and there's always the dark side and the light side, and what you want to follow and who you want. But we're in a exponential. Exponentially, it's happening faster and faster. When who's gonna? We already know God wins, but
Right.
how do we get to that? We still got to go through those steps to get to that point.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I mean, it's just like when Donald Trump, came out and he said it's not going to be just like any other election. It's going from the people that have power in Washington D.C. back to the people, what our founding fathers intended it to be.
Right.
And certain things had to.
Yeah, that comes with pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my last name, it just, Grant.
Mhm.
I'm related to Ulysses S. Grant. Well, I've done a lot of research on his memoirs and him personally, and everybody talks about it, how Grant sold us out in the 1781, the cabal or the corporation.
Yeah.
How the corporation got started, but we actually caused it ourselves by letting the cabal push us into a civil war. That civil war, like I said, wasn't about slavery. It was about money and power. And it's like once we set our own house on fire, the only thing we could do is wait to fight another day. So that's where Grant came in, and we basically sold our. Like I said, we destroyed ourselves, and then we had to figure out how to get ourselves back up.
How to rebuild.
Yeah, how to rebuild. So how do we do that? We're going to have to rely on, France and all these other people to, because we done burn our own money.
Yeah.
We burn our own society. And then Grant came in and said, well, what we'll do, we'll basically, we'll sign off on it now, but that'll give us time to fight another day. Well, it didn't mean, 5 years down the road or 10 years. It's been 150 years down the road. Well, now we're fighting again, and we're trying to take back this country, what it was supposed to be from the beginning. Well, we sold our assets and everything else over to the Bank of England, and which actually people don't realize what happened was we actually got loans from France, Spain, England, with several people. Well, what do they usually do? Just like a corporate takeover? London, the Bank of London came in and bought all those notes from France and Spain and everybody else, and then when you own 51% of the company, you own the company.
Majority, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're a majority stockholder. That's what they did. London said, "Well, we don't care who you got your loans from. We turned around and bought them from those. Now we own you again." And
Yeah.
that's what the corporation. That's what Donald Trump been doing. I believe has been destroying the corporation that got established in 1781, and then then you see the Federal Reserve in 1913, and I mean they were just incremental. Like I tell people all the time, I said they played the long game.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump's playing a short game. That's what
Operation Warp Speed.
I believe. That's exactly what I
Yeah.
believe it is.
Yeah. They think it's a shot, meaning a vaccine.
No.
He talks in code,
Yeah.
and you and I have talked about it many a times. Even in his True Social posts and X posts, you got to look at the capital letters that he uses and the misspelling he uses, and everything that he does is in code because he knows only certain people's going to catch what he's really talking about.
Yep.
But it makes
Exactly.
it sound like something else. Like you said, don't look here, look there.
Yeah. Exactly.
But Donald Trump, is a code talker, and we've been able to break down that code. And like you said, Operation Warp Speed was not about a vaccine, although a mass majority of Americans especially believe, oh yeah, Donald Trump took his vaccine and he got it out faster. No, he was talking about putting a shot on the cabal that would just go ahead and eliminate the problem. But
exactly.
like you said, it normally would take 7 to 10 years to do such a thing, and he's going to do it in half of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've had this. You're talking about 500 years,
right,
of control. So to have it done in, for me, the warp speed would be 10 years or 15 years to take down something that's been established for 150 years or 500 years.
Sure.
I mean, like I said, you got to go back all the way back into the 1500s, the 1600s. I mean, you're talking about a long time for. I mean, we talk about the powers to be and this is they call it the Roman. I mean, you go back into Rome. That's why I always tell people, I'd say, get deep into the history of it, and you'll start to realize that
Rome just regenerated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the Third Reich was all about. Germany and the Third Reich, that had, you go back into Rome, and it's just like the first established religion was Catholic, Roman Catholicism.
Right.
That was the first established in the year 48 A.D.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was the control mechanism from that point forward. Has always been like I said, the pendulum swinging throughout the centuries all the way up to present day. So when I say 500 years, it could go back. When you go back into the Bible and stuff, you can go back 2,000 years. You can go back 5,000 years.
Right.
And man has always been man.
Yeah.
And
man always bastardizes the truth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody always talks about, oh, we're a lot different. We got technology. We got this, that, and the other. Well, you still got the same thing. You're still the same flesh and blood as men were, 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the ass eaters are still the ass eaters. They was doing that back in the Sodom and Gomorrah, and people's like, I can't believe all these people eating ass. Hey, they've been doing it clear back in the Bible. Just like we talked about with the 16-year-old bringing back the head of John the Baptist on a platter. You never would imagine that a sexual thing like that would have turned into someone like that being returned with out of that deviancy to have the head returned on a silver platter by a 16-year-old goddess. That same thing, like you said, it's same today as yesterday as it will be tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. There's sin. That's why it says we're born of sin, and that it's never changed its feathers, so to speak.
Right.
And, like we always say, it's the right wing and the left wing are still from the bird. The different wings of the same bird.
Sure.
So that's one reason why the getting back into the Germany. That's why they're the eagle. Just why we got the eagle in the United States. It's just the left wing and the right wing. And
speaking of Germany, Kyle spent. If you go back and watch his episode, he spent a lot of time there, stationed over there, and got to experience a lot of life over in Germany, which was really cool.
It was cool.
And that was in between his times there in Afghanistan and Iraq, and so he got to experience a lot of Germany, Ernie, which is very few people you talk to have been there in Germany and spent that kind of time.
That's what, like we were talking about, how many people actually travel,
Right. Yeah. I was blessed when I was there that I was young and didn't have any kids at the time. So me and my wife at the time were able to do a lot of traveling while we were there. Went to several different castles and stuff like that. And of course, we had people come over and visit, and that's what they wanted to go see is, I want to go see the castles or whatever. So we'd go see all the castles. And I think one of the biggest things that stood out in my head was when I first got stationed in Germany and I first got there, we had these huge like barrack buildings, brick buildings, and one of the buildings on post still has a big swastika on it.
Oh, wow.
When they built the building, they built the swastika out of bricks into the building, and it's still there.
Oh,
So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, the when you, like you said, when you start getting into history, that the swastika, it goes back before the German, the Third Reich. I mean, it goes back into the India. It's symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
It's just another phrase from
Yeah.
the Q post.
Yeah.
Symbolism will be their downfall.
Yeah.
And it basically symbolism throughout history. Doesn't matter if it's cave drawings. Symbolism has been around, as long as man has been around.
Mm-hmm.
So if you follow those symbols and you understand what those symbols mean, that's why the Q-Post said symbolism will be their downfall.
Yeah, I mean, once you learn symbolism and what some of that stuff is, you can't unsee it.
No.
It's just like the 33 and the 17 that they love to throw around.
Yeah.
You can't unsee it. Kyle Busch passed away. What's his number on his car now? 33. It's like, come on, guys, you could have picked any number that exists, but 33.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the big pharma with the staff and the two snakes going up the staff. That's straight out of the Bible.
Yeah.
The
spirit of pharmakia.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they were. I said, you don't think medication and all that stuff was invented in the 1800s?
No.
It's been around for thousands of years, and that's why they use that symbol. It's almost like a what do they say? As long as you accept it. I mean, they've got to divulge. By the fall of Satan, you got to, in the Bible it says you got to show them who I am or who you are, so that they know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically the only order that God gave Satan was you got to show him who you are. Well, if he shows you, you might not understand it, the symbolism, but he showed you. Now, if you're following it, that's on you. That ain't on him.
Yeah.
Right.
So I did exactly what God told me. Satan wants to be God, but he ain't. But God gave him rules to operate by, and he's been operating them by them from the beginning of time.
Yeah.
He's been showing us the whole time, and we just wasn't looking. We wasn't looking in the right place, and that's what history. That's why I said I love about history. You go back into the, all the way back to Babylon and the Egyptians and all those symbols. They're still just like how we got on the subject, the swastika. When you start seeing it, I mean, those are false gods that man has been following all the way through time. It doesn't matter if it's the yin and yang and the Buddha and the Mohammed, and in the Bible it says, "I know no other gods but me."
Yeah.
That says it all.
Mm-hmm.
You can create all the gods you want, the tree god, the water god, the sun god, but there is no other god but the true Yeshua.
Yeah. There you go. Man. So in the midst of all of this, we'll we're all about helping people and giving as good as advice as we can. And so you got married out in Oklahoma and was married for quite some time and experienced divorce through it all. And I know that was a tough time for you, and you experienced it younger in your younger years. But what advice would you give our listeners? How did Ernie process it and actually make it through on the other side without losing control of the vehicle?
Well, back to the Bible. You got to get some kind of grounding, because we chase our wants and our needs and everything through our lifetime, and we forgot to as the Bible says, keep your eyes on me, and if you do that, then everything else will turn out all right.
Yeah.
And then that's, everybody goes through trials and tribulations in their lifetime, whether it be a loss of a parent, or a loss of a spouse, or divorce, and a child, or whatever. But keep your eyes on God, and you'll come out on the other side. I mean, life gets pretty tough sometimes, but it doesn't have to be as tough as we put it in our minds. I mean, because we're human, we focus on the wrong things, and we get we think that the weight of the world is on our shoulders, and when it really isn't, because we put it there.
Yeah.
And, throughout our lifetimes, we go through life and we pick up more and more bags, and until the point to where your legs no longer work and your back is broke, and you go, man, eventually you start to realize that all these bags I've picked up through my lifetime, did I really need to carry them? I could have left them, I could have walked right past them and said, yeah, that looks like a problem. I think I'll leave that there. No, what we do is we pick it up and put it on top of the other bag, and there's another problem. Let's throw that on. Yeah. And before you know it, you realize at the other end, you're going, damn, I got all these bags on me, and I didn't even need to pick them up. And they haven't done me no good when I did pick them up.
Right.
I mean, that's one thing. Talk about the great grandmother used to say, control the things you can and leave the rest. Don't fret over things you can't control.
Right.
I mean, because we go through life and we think we can control things that happen to us, or we want things to be a certain way, and you had no control over them at the beginning.
Right.
When you turn it over to God and say, hey, listen, He's got control of it all. I mean, He's already got he knew us before we were born.
Before I formed you in the womb.
Yeah, and so he knows that He's already got your whole life mapped out. So when you're trying to fight against it, I mean, it doesn't matter if how many of us have lost friends or family or something. Well, that was the plan from the get-go. We don't like it, but that's why I said trust in the Lord, and He'll get you through. Mm-hmm. It might not be through on this plane. It might be through when He says He'll get you through. It's like where we're at and where we want to be. Where do at the on the other side? Do you want to be in the dark, or do you want to be in the light? So that's what it means by everybody thinks it's He'll get you through on this plane. No, he might not be talking about this plane at all.
Right.
All He wants to do is get you back, in His presence.
Yeah.
So whether I die today or die 100 years from now, it really don't matter, as long as I know the destination.
Yeah.
So.
Well, one of our favorite questions we have on the show, and for every guest, is the American dream still alive? And has Ernie lived the American dream? I would say Ernie's done a pretty good job at living the American dream, and that can be personalized, I think, for each individual. But what's Ernest's thought on the American dream, and does it still exist out there for young people?
Oh yeah, the main thing is what your dream is. I mean, if your dream is to be rich and famous, is that really, if you fall short of it, did you really not make it to where you wanted to be? Or I mean, because like I said, I look back on my lifetime and I'm thinking where I'm at now and where I've been. I'm like, I'm not somebody else. That's one thing you got to realize. You're individual. You're an individual, and you are everybody's precious in the eyes of God. So whatever your life turns out to be, it might not be what you were thinking of, the American dream or the dream of,
Mm-hmm.
But I always look back on, the old saying, count your blessings, because there's a lot of people that ain't here today that, you're still walking and talking and breathing.
Right.
So, you still have a chance to, whether you're like I was talking about going through life. My dream, what I was when I was 15, is completely different than what I am now, or what my dream is now.
Mm.
And then I'll look back on things. It's like, well, I didn't really hit those marks that I considered a dream.
Yeah.
I wanted to be this, or I wanted to be that, or I wanted to be here or there. The value changes. You start to realize, well, even if I had hit those goals, or what we call dreams, would it really made me happy or made me who I am today?
Would have made a difference at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they always say, take one day at a time, because we're not promised tomorrow.
Right.
So, and one thing I live my life on is you can't do nothing about yesterday, and you can't do nothing about tomorrow. You don't know what tomorrow holds.
Right.
So enjoy the time that you got now, and then in 5 minutes from now, we just like doing these podcasts. What you said 5 minutes ago, you can't change.
Right.
Or what you did 5 minutes ago, you can't change. That's history.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So, as far as dreams go, the dream is living every day to the fullest, and enjoying it.
I think it's all about what you make of it too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Everybody's dream's different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it changes, like you said,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, everybody. Well, I think of what a lot of people do is they project somebody else's dream on themselves. I did it myself. I know for a fact I did.
Oh yeah.
And I always look at, man, look at that guy. He's this or he's that, or
Right.
and I didn't get to that point.
Yeah.
Well, I'm judging his achievements or his life against mine, and you can't do that, because you're not supposed to. You can't judge your life against somebody else's. I mean, because like you said, somebody's dream, somebody else's dream is not your dream, or vice versa.
Right.
But we always go through trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that ain't your life. I mean, you don't live in his skin. You don't live in his life. You don't live in his home. You live in yours,
Right.
and you live in your skin. So enjoy it. Enjoy your life, and don't compare your life to somebody else's.
Right.
Because you always live wanting. You'll never make it by living in somebody else's shadow, because that's literally what it is. Everybody's different. I mean, we got 8 billion people on this planet, and some are in better shape than others, as far as but are they really in better shape? Is the guy living on the hilltop with very little, or what we consider very little, is he more blessed than you are? Because you're out here chasing the dream and killing yourself trying to do it.
Yeah, on 72 easy payments.
Exactly. Get chasing the, and then you realize that that guy's more at peace and more at ease than you. I mean, we go through life trying to accumulate.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the term consumer. We are the consumer. that they love using that word, and it consume. Because all it does is make somebody else rich while you're consuming whatever they're giving you or chasing. And then, like you said, 72 easy payments. You can have whatever you want.
Right now, you gotta wait.
Yeah,
you can have
exactly.
it right now.
Yeah.
And before you know it, man, them 72 easy payments never goes away.
Yeah. Well,
Squirrel.
That's kind of like what people do with the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
They want those 72 easy payments, and they don't want to put their heart and soul into it and study and research and get closer to God. But they want to be able to go in on Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning, and come out on those 72 easy payments. Says I'm all I spent 2 hours in church. And I'm saved.
Right.
I'm perfect now. It's just like living on that 72 easy payments.
Yeah. Praise the Lord, brother. And then, hey, let's go down to Bamboo and grab a couple,
Yeah, exactly.
Shit. Well, what's up and coming for Ernest? What would you like to do in these upcoming years as you start thinking about, not retirement per se, but entering the backside of the par 5,
Yeah. Well, there is no retirement until you're pushing up daisies.
Sure.
Just wake up every morning and thank God for that extra breath. And when the older you get, the less expectations you have on life. You just want to enjoy. It's like my uncle says. The more you look back, you got more behind you than what you got in front of you.
Yeah.
So enjoy what time you have left, because if like we just said, if you worry about all the stuff that that you think you should have done or could have done, or one of the biggest things that someone told me a long time ago is when I was going through those growing pains of being a teenager and all that stuff, and I was putting those expectations on other people around me, especially my dad. Always wanted him to be something he wasn't, and you're not accepting it, because we were close. We did all kinds of stuff together, but it was always when you're a kid, you always think, well, he should have been this, or he should have been that, or he could have been this. And one lady I knew a long time ago, she said, shoulda, coulda, woulda, because I was complaining about being a teenager and how I expected things, playing sports, and my father, playing catch with me and all that kind of stuff, and that's what the TV perceived. We perceived that that's what a father should be, but I wasn't even looking at all the things he was. Mm-hmm. I was always looking at things I thought he should be. And then, like I said, a lady I knew a long time ago, she said she heard me, I was, confiding in her and talking about those things. And she said, shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I go, it kind of kicked me in the teeth. Mm-hmm. I was kind of like, she was like dismissing all my feelings and emotions and stuff. And I was like, what's that supposed to mean? She goes, shoulda, coulda, woulda. She goes, all these things you're living on is, what you think somebody else around you should be, or could have been, or should be. And, would have things would have been different if he would have been this way. Or she goes, she was California, so she had that ride the wave attitude. Mm-hmm. She's like, just enjoy what you do have and quit looking at what you don't have. and that changed my whole perspective on life. And then it actually made, because I moved out to Oklahoma and I was away. Like I said, I was tied to the hip with my dad growing up. We were out in the garage and working on cars and hot rods and motorcycles, and my dad was expanded. He did everything. I mean, we made wine. We had 400 bottles of wine in our basement that I stomped grapes with my dad when I was a kid, and and basically after that incident out in California and stuff, I started to realize that, wait a minute, I started looking at all the things I did do with my dad, and the things that my friends didn't do with their fathers. Because their fathers weren't around, or their fathers were killed in military or something, and they didn't have those chances to do those things. So I stopped looking at the things I thought it should have been, and I thought, well, man, I had my dad could have not been there, right. And I have 3 sisters, and my dad could have chose to leave me at home, but I was his son, so he drugged me around. When I was a kid, he was dragging me around everywhere. That was my perspective. But then you look back on life, and when you lose your father, you go, man, he could have left me at home, but he didn't. He wanted me to be there.
Right.
He wanted me to be part of the things that he was into and stuff like that. And it wasn't, he didn't know how to, he wasn't into sports and all that kind of stuff. So basically I became his mini-me. Mm-hmm. And that was his way of being able to share. He's like, well, I don't know how to do those things, but I know how to do this. So I'm going to get you involved in those things. And, like I said, having that perspective now, looking back on things, it's like, it was a good childhood compared to what I thought it was. From when you're in it, you think, you wanted to be somewhere else. But now when, time goes by, you go, man, I wish I was, could do it all over again, because I'd have a different perspective. When you got the eyes of a older man, you start looking back on things as like, man, things were pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but when you're in it, you're thinking, man, I wish I didn't have to do this.
I can't wait to move out.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
Yeah. Well, especially, I don't know if you still have your father and stuff around. It's a different place to be once you don't have them. Mm-hmm. You like I said, you got a different perspective.
Sure.
When they're not around anymore.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I tell you, couldn't appreciate your time anymore this evening. Been one hell of a show, one hell of a ride. I know Mom's out in Florida living, and you're going to end up eventually back down in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say, of my short 40 years, you're the first guy that I've got to know over the last several years that has honestly lived free, free from the chains and the bondages of everyday things that could easily drag you down, and it's something to experience that and to get to know somebody that has been able to every day wake up and just live life. Even if it's a shit show, Ernie's still like, yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's all perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
Live life with perspective, and it's
finding the joys in the bad is amazing.
Oh yeah.
If you can get to that point in your life where even if the day to you and anyone around you would be, oh man, that was a terrible day, but you still find the
find something good in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, the like I said, it's all about perspective. When when the day seems cloudy and rainy and stuff. Mm-hmm. Dance in the rain, because you have no control over it, for one thing. Like we were talking about, control the things you can and let God handle the rest. You can't control the rain. You can't control the sun. You can't, and you honestly only have control of your your perspective and what you think. It's like having several people in a room that, you can get somebody that has a negative attitude that brings everybody else down in the room.
Yeah.
Well, you let that happen. You didn't,
Right.
that person, let them, it's like the old saying goes that you can get happy in the same pants you got crappy in. So it's all about perspective. So when you wake up in the morning and you take your breath, you need to be happy you're breathing.
Right.
And I always think of when things don't go right, or what you think don't go right, maybe it was a reason for it. Yeah, because it had. Yeah, it's. I always say it's like going down to a crossroad. I can either go left or I can go right. I go left and I get in an accident. Well, if I had gone right, I might have went off a cliff and died.
Right.
So that's a perspective. It's like, well, maybe I had an accident. God stopped me for a few minutes, because had I not done that, I would have, 10 minutes down the road, I might have, perished.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was almost like I said, it was God slowing you down, so you're not in the middle of the intersection and getting broadsided.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. You could have. Most people say, "Damn, if I'd have just went right instead of left, I wouldn't have gotten this accident." Well, you don't know what right was holding in store for you.
Yeah.
Might have been a lot worse.
But Kenny Chesney just released a song that's really good. He meets locals down in Florida. You've been all over Florida. And he met a local down there in Key West, and they wrote a song called Carry On. And one of the lyrics in that song was really good, and it fits right into tonight's show and everything. But one of the lyrics is, "You can't carry nothing with you, and it won't be long till 6 carry you home. Till then, you got to carry on."
There you go.
And with burying my grandfather a couple of months back, and the 6 of us walked up and carried his casket to the final resting spot. That lyric kind of hit me where I'm like, it won't be long till 6 are carrying you to your final spot.
Yep.
And it's what you do within that dash of those 2 dates that matters.
That's who you were. That's who you were. That's what in the tombstone, Huckleberry.
Yep.
And everybody says Huckleberry.
Right.
I'll be your Huckleberry. What he was talking about is Hucklebearer. That's the handle on the side of a casket. That's what he was saying. It's like, okay, you want to step out of line? I'll be your Hucklebearer.
Yeah.
I'll put you in the ground. Is what he was in that phrase.
Yeah.
So
speaking of, right there's the movie poster.
Yes, sir.
At Tombstone.
yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, like you said, that's where we're going to be. Everybody's going to be, sooner or later.
Yeah.
Hopefully later.
Yeah.
Right. Now, when you're in Florida, do you have the opportunity, or have you had the opportunity to meet locals there that just, you're like, boy, this is one interesting cat,
Oh, yeah, big time. Because when, just like you were talking about being over in Germany, all the different people and stuff you meet has a completely different perspective of the world than you do, because you were from the United States and they're from Europe.
Yeah.
And that's why Josh and Jace are two of the guys I like following. They're from England, and shout out to them because they got a podcast that's doing really well. But they come over in the United States, and they said that they didn't realize how big the United States was. Everybody always talks about us not being cultured because we've never left the United States. Well, we got so much culture from sea to shining sea that people don't realize that. Over in Europe, they think, well, I've been to France and I've been to Spain and all. That's like us going to Texas or to Florida.
Right.
I mean, for them, it's but they consider that cultured. Well, if they came over here and realized how big the United States, that's what Josh and Jace are doing. They're coming over here going, oh my God, these people are, they don't have to go anywhere else because they can spend their whole lives traveling throughout the United States and over there they got to travel.
Yeah.
Get out of their neighborhood is like us going to, Tennessee or Kentucky.
Yeah.
For them to go to France, it's like us going down to Kentucky or Tennessee or in Georgia. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what he always makes jokes about that. He goes, it's 12 hours to get across Texas. He said, I can get to France in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
From where they're at. So,
yeah.
But like you said, going back, the one thing I did notice when I lived down in Florida for 10 years, how many people come from all over the place. And because I love going scuba diving and stuff like that, and I met people from France and stuff that were coming over. They come over to scuba dive down in the Keys and stuff like that. And like I said, in Florida, you meet people from all over, all walks of life, and from all over. You meet some really neat characters, especially if you're living down there and you got. And you're adventurous, and you just don't stay in your own little neighborhood or town, and you travel around. You start and you're open to talking to other people. You realize that they might only be there for 2 weeks, so they're trying to fill those 2 weeks up with a lot of experience. So, and they're coming from all over. I mean, when I worked down there in Florida. I met people from Trinidad, that live down there now. Mm-hmm. Trinidad, Jamaica, Colombia, Costa Rica. You've got a whole dichotomy of people down there. I mean, it's just compared to living, here in Indianapolis or living in your small town. Mm-hmm. You see the same people, and you see. When you live in a small town, you see a reflection of yourself all the time. When you go down to Florida, you see a whole reflection of all different types of people. It's not just people just like you. It's people from all over. That's what you meet a lot of good people and characters.
Yeah,
that's what I love about traveling. When you travel around the country, you find people from all over. I mean, when I lived in Oklahoma, I had the aviation. We went all over the place. We went to Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Boise, Idaho, Lincoln, Nebraska. I mean, you got to travel and you met people from those areas, and very interesting.
Yeah,
love traveling.
Heck yeah!
If I had the unlimited resources, I'd travel the world the same way. Just go anywhere and everywhere, and open your horizons to all different types of people.
Sure. Well, we'll close her out with this one piece of information that the audience probably should listen to. If someone's interested, and this is Ernie speaking through experience, anyone's interested in the truth movement or trying to figure out, contrary to what they've been programmed to believe, where would you say the best place to start for them? That because a lot of people they'll be like, man, I would love to learn that stuff. I'm just not sure where a good place to start would be. What would you say for them would be a good place to start?
Well, the one of the good places for me to was especially back in the 80s and stuff. You had to read different conspiracy books is what they called them, but what I was talking about, Behold a Pale Horse from Bill Cooper. Start with that, and then to go with open up your browser into Telegram or X, Twitter, formerly Twitter. You start going in. I like Telegram. If you go into Telegram and get into some of these chat rooms and stuff, that's where a lot of that stuff opened up was. Because you're talking to people just like us,
right?
You're actually on your phone or your computer, and you've got sometimes you have 20 people in the room, sometimes you have 2,000, And
Wow.
that's what was really neat about. I'd tell people to go to Telegram and get into some of these chat rooms and stuff, and open your mind to some of the things that people are talking about. I don't believe everything you hear, but when somebody, it's like we always said, bring the sauce, bring the proof.
Right.
You can tell me anything you want to, but tell me where you got it. Tell me, and on those channels, you'll find a lot of people that are actually sharing that information, and they'll steer you exactly where this is where you need to look. And don't believe me. Do your own research. That was one of the things we shared on the Telegram channels a lot. Was don't believe me, but do your own research. And when you start doing your own research, and I'll give you some of the different areas to go to, but once you start going to them, you'll get into those rabbit holes, and you'll start going, well, he was right when like I said, don't believe me, believe your own research.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start doing the research, but Telegram's one of the I like. That was post. You got Discord, 4chan, 8chan, all those were the beginning of it. When people were sharing information with one another, we were dropping posts on each other, and when we were doing research, we could add to those. When people would drop information on one guy would take it and run with it, and he'd find more information and drop it back on, and you just get that picture, that post, that puzzle pieces together. And then when you start doing that, you're going, man. Then you start finding your own information, and then you go running with it. That's what I said on Telegram. When COVID hit, everybody was off of work. So we had a channel. One of the channels we had opened up was I can't even think of the name of it now. But anyway, we had people at 3:00 in the morning. You're talking to people from Australia, from Africa, and they're chiming in on those channels. So you're getting a perspective from over there.
Right.
So and you're the what we call the lamestream media. You can't go on CNN and even if you like Fox or anything like that. If you're right wing or left wing. We were getting information directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak. We had people that were in Australia saying, no, that ain't happening. What we're seeing on the TV here is not what's happening over there on the ground. And they're, with this, like you said, with this technology, with the phones and everything else, they're showing us live streaming straight from where they're saying that there's a riot going on. They're going, there ain't no riot here. I'm on the corner that the CNN is telling you that there's a riot, for George Floyd over here in Australia, and the guy's on his phone going, there ain't nothing going on over here. They're lying to you.
Right.
Wow. So that tells you straight up. But that's what I liked about Telegram, is we were getting people on the ground from France, Ireland, Scotland, Australia. I mean, we were getting it live from them, so we didn't have to listen to. That's what they've lost control of the narrative. I mean, like we talk about the CNN and MSNBC and all that stuff. You've seen the video of it's a threat to democracy. It's a threat to all the way across the United States. They're showing
every channel.
Every channel, every news.
Same language.
Yep. So, well, they're reading it right off a script. Well, when you're talking to somebody that's on the ground on Telegram, and you got 300 people in the room, and they're seeing the same thing, you're going, you talk about the information dam opening up to where now you got 300 people that know that CNN was lying to you, or Fox News was lying to you, because we were watching it live.
Yeah.
And so that's actually better. I mean, some people might not have the exact truth,
Mhm.
but you're seeing it for your own eyes, and you can dismiss anything else that you see.
Yeah.
So the Telegram would be one of the places I'd tell people to go
Okay.
and get into the chat rooms and stuff and start digging up the information
Yeah.
or let people share the information that they've got with you.
Do you have a specific channel that would be a good one for him to start on?
There's Captain Kyle is one of the guys that we listen to, which I've talked to several times. There's what's the young kid's name?
Phil?
No, the one that was actually sharing information on the military. Law and orders.
So he goes by Rattletrap 1776.
There you go.
And that is Derek Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've all spoke to each other. I mean, this was when the movement first started happening, and then Derek Johnson, went off on his little tyrant, and everybody started jumping in on listening to what he had to say, and then I actually was talking to him, and we were actually sharing information, the truth I had and the truth he had, and he's like, "Man, you ought to be on that, on this journey with us, with the truthers."
Yeah.
And sharing this information. I'm like, well, I'm just glad it's getting out because people realize that, that's what I mean. Yeah, there's several channels online on Telegram that you can actually get onto and just start looking for open mics, because you can see a little soundboard down on the bottom of with their channels open. If you join the channel, you can go in there and see that there might be, 20 people on there or 200. And then you'll start meeting people on those channels that have their own channels, and they'll start sharing that information, and they'll start getting you up and running on the truth movement.
Yeah.
So, I did, when there were several of them, one of them was Matrix that I used to chat with. And some people say that, oh, you don't want to follow all those channels. I'm just the opposite. If I'm following 100 channels, to me is better than following just one.
Right.
Because it's like, so you're taking that one person's truth, or as truth,
Mm-hmm.
his or her comments as truth. Well, if you can open up several different channels and follow different people, and then they're dropping information on you, you can actually weed out. You can sift through the truth and the lies.
Right.
That's what I was talking about. Every lie comes with about 10% truth. So what your job is to find the 10%,
Yeah.
and discard the 90%.
Heck yeah.
So.
All right. Well, again, we're going to get this uploaded to our three platforms, YouTube, Spotify, and Rumble. They're all doing well. We're actually doing just as well, if not better, on Rumble than we are on YouTube for whatever reason. And then some episodes are getting better views on Spotify. So we encourage everyone to at least subscribe to our channel on YouTube and Rumble. And Spotify, you can follow us as well. Just click the follow button. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to do anything else, but it does help us a little bit, and we want to continue to grow this podcast, and we've really appreciated your time tonight, and I'm glad Kyle got to meet you and get to know Ernie a little bit, and on down the road, we may travel on down to Florida and have you on again.
Yeah. Well, it's technology. You can do it. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
One of the guys that I don't take credit for it, but I shared a lot of information with him. And Tim17, he's another guy that's on Telegram.
Okay.
Him and his buddy and another girl, they have a podcast. They share a lot of information, but they're all from Tim's in Canada, Kyle's in Alaska, and I can't remember where their female friend's from. But they're all three of them are in different locations,
Yeah.
and they get online. They do their podcast, and they're all from different areas.
Yeah.
But they're all on their phones or on their computers,
Yeah.
and LinkedIn. So that's what they do. I think that's what they do is they go through LinkedIn and they get everybody on the same show. So doesn't matter where you're at nowadays. Right. You can be anywhere and broadcast in.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
So.
All right. Well, it was good seeing you tonight, and you have a good rest of your evening and weekend coming up, putting the motorcycle back together all the rest of the way, you think?
Yeah.
You think you'll have your parts?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. Good. Well, awesome. Well, we'll see you again. And everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We sure did. And we'll get it put out there for you. And you guys share this episode with as many people as you can. And you'll start seeing our flyers and business cards out and about at places. And we look to continue to grow organically like we have and not looking back. So.
All righty.
All right. Well, it was good seeing you, Ernie.
All righty.
All right.